Good Friday, everybody, and welcome to the weekly Vasl. And I'm your host Ahad, and I'm here with Phil today. Phil is one of the co-hosts that are going to be regularly around. Today, we're going to be talking about time management. So before we get into that, I want to introduce Phil, and you can hear some noise in the back as well. That is, we are near an airport, so it is quite normal for you to be hearing some airplanes on the way. So, Phil, an introduction a little bit before we continue.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming out here to my garden, and nice to have you over. And it's nice to be on your podcast. So I am Phil. Been living here in the Netherlands for a few years, but I've been traveling around for a lot before. Originally from Switzerland, and I recently escaped the corporate life and doing something very different now. I'll get right into that. After getting a burnout at a corporate job, as a project lead in a big tech company, I decided I wanted to be away from the computer and work with my hands and see things progress more physically, And so I started working as a furniture maker, the furniture designer here.
And how's it going?
It's going quite nice. I mean, it's an interesting shift, and I definitely had to adjust to the physicality of it, but also adjust to stepping back into something that I was like a beginner at again. But I tell you, it's really healthy and good for me to just be doing something with my hands, which is kind of overseeable, manageable. And it gives you more time and perspective in my life, I guess.
I think so as well. And I remember this conversation happening like 6 months, more than 6 months ago. I think even before that you were telling me that you were planning to do this. You were like, there's this guy who reached out to me in a furniture company. And I told you back then I was like pretty skeptical. I was like, Phil, you work for this high-tech company. You're a project lead. It doesn't make sense for you to become a furniture maker. But 6 months, 8 months later, you're here and you're happy. And it's beyond me, to be really honest. It's still like I want to support you as a friend, but still beyond me to understand how this works. But why don't you explain to us why the physicality of it really helps you in that position, and why the overwhelmingness that comes from the digital job? What is the difference?
Well, when you're working on as a project lead for a digital project, then you really never see what you're achieving. You see maybe a Kanban board. You see maybe your inbox catching up a bit, but that never really happens because it fills up. And all these projects were also kind of large and nebulous. They were not, building something that got built and then it was built. So it was little improvements that were bouncing back and forth, and I really didn't like that. Maybe it's just my personality. I like to interact with the real world. I like to work together with other people, like physically around me. And throughout the pandemic and remote working and so on, that was really not really good.
I was loving it. I think we have this conversation offline so many times. I love remote working so much that I'm now in pursuit of a new client, and I'm not finding a new client because all of them are like, twice a week you need to come to the office, and I'm like, I cannot. I need it once a week or once in 2 weeks. My current client offers me once in 3 weeks. And no one...
That's really rare.
Yeah, once in 3 weeks, you're just chill, you're just doing your own thing. I can coach and teach on the side, and I'm just doing my thing. But if I do twice a week this and once a week coaching, then I'm out of the house 3 times a week. With the baby on the way, I really don't want that. I really want to spend time home.
I think that's where I find it so interesting to talk to you, because we're very different people at the core. You seem to do 2 jobs at the same time, and coaching and getting ready for a family, and doing the podcast, doing the newsletter and everything else. Yeah, you manage all that. You also like to work remotely. So I understand that it works for you. I'm really curious. That's why I wanted to do this conversation about time management, because we've become friends, but we're so different people. So it's nice to, a little bit.
Definitely. And I think one of the reasons for me, particularly, as you said, I try to do a lot of different things. It works for me because I can do remote work, right? And
Right.
it helps me that I'm in control of my calendar, and then I can squeeze in stuff. Because when you have to go to the office, like I'm currently going to teach at a university in Harlem, right? And that's like a 2 hour commute and a 2 hour commute back. When I come back, I'm dead. I'm mentally dead, physically dead, and I don't want to do anything. And not just work. My wife was mad at me. This was yesterday. She was mad at me because I went with her to do some housekeeping stuff. We went to Proxys, this hardware store, got some paint and everything. And we were there with her mom. And we came back to our house and we were chilling and talking and everything. And I feel like I was contributing to the conversation, but she was like, "You're so dead. You look so depressive and everything." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not my normal self. Like I'm pretty jolly and talkative because I'm tired,
Yeah.
but I'm not sad. I'm enjoying the conversation,
Right.
bring it back." But apparently she was not happy with it. I was like, "No, this doesn't work for me. And if I go to the office twice a week, 3 times a week, this is going to be me. And this is a
Yeah.
reality I'm refusing to accept."
Yeah, I do feel you. I mean, going to the office, also the woodworking job, it does take off. Like going to the workshop, it does take up a lot of your energy. That is definitely true. So maybe there is some middle ground. Maybe I will even find the middle ground where I'll be like, oh, I don't want to step back from going physically to the office right now. I really absolutely have to. The machines are there and the tools are there. I have to go there. And wood is there. I can hardly put it all know. But at the same time, I don't know. I did remote working for already pre-pandemic for several years, and I always found that after the first 6 months or so, I felt I was missing that connection, human connection, but also physical connection to the work. Yeah, so
Could be.
that's it. I mean, yeah, I think there is some kind of, we can talk about productivity, but there's also some kind of psychology behind here that we can touch on, which I was just looking at things a little bit wrongly in terms of wanting to do everything at once and getting myself stressed, because I was overstressed. I burned out, but it was not even so much my boss breathing down my neck and giving me a lot of huge projects. It was more that I had 25 little projects that I had to juggle, and I had all these emails and I had to understand everything, and I had to interact with all these different people little by little, like jumping from one meeting to the next. And I wanted to do a good job everywhere. Quite a conscientious, like diligent person. That also made me just stress myself. And maybe that's one of the core differences in us, like psychologically. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we touched about the fact that you're a bit of a perfectionist. You want to deliver good work or great work, right? And that really, tying it back to our conversation on time management. In time management, it's all, mostly in my eyes, it's all about efficiency, right? It's all about that you're trying to get the best out you can from what you have. It doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. To me, it means if you get 80% right, you're good to go, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the 80-20. I've heard about this 80-20 rule many times, and in Dutch they say 80 is prachtig. I heard.
Oh,
And
that's a beautiful saying.
You know that?
Yeah.
Like 80 is great, but it's hard to really implement that or internalize it really, because I think I'm wanting to do a lot of things. I'm interested in a lot of things, and if somebody comes up to me with a project idea, I like to pick it up, and I like to, maybe even drive it a bit, push it along if nobody else is really doing it. But then I end up doing so many things that I can't even do in 50%.
Yeah.
Despite, don't even think about 80. But I have a hard time prioritizing, and so I'm reading. I started reading in a book by Oliver Berkman about time management, and there's an interesting take he has on things. It's basically you have to come to you have to accept the fact that you have finite time. And we are always, with these time management techniques, like all these different zero inbox and Pomodoro and all these things, we are trying to manage, to control our time, because we will get everything done. We will get everything done, and then we'll have time for the other things. I think that's the misconception of it. And we will not get everything done.
We will never get anything done. And I really like that point of view that you said. So basically about the 80% first, let's start from there from my side. I really believe getting stuff done, bare minimum, is good enough. And the reason you cannot do 50% is because you're taking too many things. I've been there. I want to do a lot of stuff. I want to game. We just talked about before starting this. I have so many
I
games
was so surprised that you're a gamer
So,
besides all the things
in
that
my
you're doing.
backlog, there are a lot of games that I want to play, but I don't have time. So I ration out 1 hour, 1.5 hour a day, right? I want to play FIFA competitively, but I don't have time nor the skill, to be honest, but not the time, most importantly, right? And then you have stuff like I want to cook every day. I want to play walk 15,000 steps a day. I want to skip. I want to do my calisthenics that I bought a course like 2 years ago. I never started it because it's just too much effort. So I also have the same issue that I want to do a lot. The one thing I really want to do is gardening. So when I come into your garden, I love it so much because it's a beautiful thing to me to do gardening. But yeah, it's a mental load on your head that, okay, I have to pick up a new skill. So all of these things made me realize that, you know what? One thing at a time. Think of us as a modular being, right? Like Legos. So we build ourselves with everything. You cannot make a Lego without building two things together, right? You cannot have a human ready. And that's how I try to go towards habit formation and anything that I want to do in life. It's just that start with one thing. And I think I explained this to you before as well. One thing I started with last month was no sugar. 31 days, no sugar. And last time we met, my baby shower didn't happen yet. I think my baby shower just happened last week, my wife's baby shower. And I had sugar there after 31 days because she told me, it's my baby shower. I'm ordering a cake of 80 euros, 80 euros. You need to eat it. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to. What if I get addicted again? Because my whole issue of no sugar was that I get addicted, right?
Your wife is peer pressure.
Yeah, and then I cut myself a slice of cake. And I'm not joking to you. After 30 days off white sugar, I took a bite. I couldn't swallow it. I was like, this is too much. It's not attractive anymore. So I ate a few bites. And then I was missing my Greek yogurt. I was missing my 99% chocolate. So I took that 31 days to build a tolerance to sugar. And now I don't want it anymore.
Right.
And now this month, it's all about the 18-hour fast. We have raspberries right in front of us. And you're telling me that, hey, do you want to have them? I really want to. This month is all about the 18-hour fast. So I'm like, you know what? 18 hours, I'm not going to do anything. And a month after, might be something else. And then you start building on these habits. And then suddenly you come to a place that you're like, wow, I did not know I could do these many things at the same time because you took one by one to build them.
So do you do that with all your things, like let's say the newsletter or the coaching? Do you always say, I'm only going to start this newsletter for 30 days, for a month? Is that like the time limit that you
Yeah, so basically, for example,
yourself?
this thing, right, we started off the podcast right now in July. We're launching this. I didn't do it for 6 months because in the month of January, I said, you know what, I'm going to start this thing. And the only thing I'm going to commit to is 3 reels per week or 3 TikToks per week. That's it. Yeah. And one newsletter. That was the only thing I committed to. And then I did that for 6 months. And then I was like, you know what, it's happening. Now I can do this on the side as well and add to this value. And then from here, maybe we can move on to something else in the future, maybe an e-course or something like that. But always take one step at a time because this works for me. And sometimes it's also bad because we are habitual creatures, right? So sometimes it takes us a bit of a time to adjust to the new thing. And my wife complains to me about this a lot. She's like, I told you this. Yeah. She's like, I just told you this. Why don't you understand this? And I'm like, Salaf, you will have to tell me this 5 times. And maybe the 6th time I'm going to get it because I'm habitual. I'm used to biting my nails. I'm used to leaving the trash out. I'm used to these things because I used to live alone as a guy. So it will take some effort from your side. But asking a pregnant woman to have some patience is a difficult choice, and I don't blame her for it. But that's how I function then. I'm like, you know what, take it slow. It's fine. I slipped. Oh, I wasn't supposed to do this right now. But it's fine. According to my schedule, I am still 1 week into this, so I can mess it up. And that way, I am more kinder to myself.
Right.
And that really helps me learn.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe just to be able to slow down the things that you're picking up.
Yeah.
Like do less in order to get done more.
Maybe that's a good way of saying it. Yeah.
Yeah, I also read in this book about the rule of using just 3 projects max at the moment. So, like for example, I've just been moving. I am preparing for a project at a festival, and I'm picking up my job in a more professional role now. Yeah. So maybe I should just leave it at that. And if I want to pick up a new project, I have to skip one of those or end one of those. So I'll try to use that a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's another part to this whole discussion, which is again like the more psychological one, which is an anxiety that comes up when you're not doing a bunch of things. So as soon as I don't have every evening of the week booked with socializing, with going to a workshop, to doing all kinds of things, then I feel I'm not doing enough. Like I have this kind of existential anxiety about I will fall behind, or I will be judged by others, or I'm just a lazy bastard. So I started to fill up everything. I started to fill up my backlog, I guess. And this is also the thing of, this is almost like the pandemic of stress that we're seeing around. There's also this wrong notion of busy is cool. Like, if you can tell your friends, man, I'm having such a busy week, then that's kind of a status, right?
Yeah, that's like a proud thing.
Then you're a good, important person. And that's so wrong, isn't it?
I think so as well. I think it doesn't make sense for you to be busy for the sake of being busy. And I think you mentioned it really well. I think it's also a cultural thing in Europe because I also see it with the Dutch people, right? They tell me that, okay, I'm only busy next third Saturday, right? And you ask them why, because they're like, because I plan out my weekends.
You're only free the next...
I'm planning out my weekends already, and they're booked, and they're supposed to be booked. But if you ask them what they do on the weekdays, they also have plans. Some of them don't. Most of them like, oh, we go to the gym, we do this, we do that. Everyone wants to do something all the time, and some of it is very positive, like how they are like, you know what, every day I go to the gym. That's a very good exercise. But sometimes it's okay to just do nothing or not plan anything and be okay with the nothingness, right?
But personally, how do you do that in your own life? Do you have a lot of flexibility time in your day? Because you seem to have a lot of things planned through, like you keep your mornings without a phone, you go for the walk, you do cooking, you do all these different things. I'm just guessing that you're planning this in your calendar blocks, right?
Yeah.
Are you? How much flexibility does that leave you then? Doesn't it fully fill your week up?
It depends on how you look at it. So for me, what I do basically is, as I said, I break my day down into quadrants, right? 4 quadrants. And this is my personal life. I'm talking about the work. Work 9 to 5 is there. There are going to be meetings. You can't stop them, right? They have access to my calendar. They're going to plan meetings in if they want to. I try my best to tell them that, okay, only do it in the afternoons, not in the morning. But I cannot. And I'm not in a leadership position like you were in a project lead to basically be like, you know what, this is my availability. I'm more like an analyst. I'm more on the side. I'm an individual contributor. So I am at the whims of the leadership. They're like, you know what, let's come on a call right now. And I'm like, okay, I'm on call, so I have to come on the call right now. So that I don't really plan much because I don't have control over. But what I do is just I break my days into quadrants: morning, afternoon, evening, and night. And then I just go to the 2 things that I need to do in each quadrant. Again, not to overwhelm yourself, right?
Like what kind of things?
Like morning has to be walking and stretching, right? That's what you have to do. Or it could be no phones. But no phone, I think, is just becoming a lifestyle choice, so it doesn't really matter. And then afternoon has to be a nap and a walk, right? So I go for a walk and then I nap again because I sleep less, right? I sleep around 6 to 7 hours because I can't sleep more. If I try to sleep more, I feel very drowsy. So I'm trying to get myself tested, to be honest, if I'm one of those people who cannot sleep long term. But if I sleep 8 hours, I cannot get out of bed. I just cannot. I feel very tired.
So you sleep how many hours a night?
I always get up so fresh, and I don't understand why. But then it hits me at the end of the day that I'm very tired, so I had a nap.
So you take a nap after work?
No,
or how do you do?
You have to take it between 1 to 3 p.m. That's the science behind it. That's the perfect amount of time that you're up. If you're up at 7, 6 hours, 7 hours later, and 7 hours, 8 hours before you start winding down for bed, so you won't be too fresh by the night. So I do it between 1 and 3 for like 45 to 1 hour. Depends on my mood. Sometimes you sleep and you don't get up for 2 hours. That also happens. But like that's my afternoon. My evening has to be, okay, I need to cook and I need to clean the kitchen, for example, something like that. And then the night has to be, I need to read and I need to like go to bed on time. That's basically my goals that I need to do on a daily basis. The rest is free. It's a calendar, and I can just do whatever I want with it. I can plan in a session with you, like recording. I have another session I told you after this, and that calendar is free. Sometimes I don't have anything to do in the evenings. Yesterday, me and my wife watched a movie for like 3 hours.
Yeah, okay, but I have to push back a little bit. You said you're planning in an hour of gaming.
Yeah.
Do you put that in your calendar?
No. That's on me.
Is that one of the 2 things in the
evening?
No.
That's more like, okay, I have time and I will play. Sometimes I don't have time, so I don't play. That's what I mean.
So it's not a strict plan.
No, it's not a strict plan, but it's a cap more than a plan. So if I do play, it needs to be under 1.5 hours. And if I don't play, I don't play. I think the month of May, I didn't play my PS5 for a whole month. And I was agitated. I was telling my wife, it's right there, and I don't have time to play it because I'm so busy. So what I mean by scheduling 1.5 hours, that's my cap. that I try to play 1.5 hour a day, not more than that. And if I do more than that, then that considers as a bad day, basically.
Right. Okay, but that seems still very generous in terms of time spending.
Well, you have a lot of time. I don't understand why people think they don't have time.
But I literally feel like I don't have a lot of time. I feel I'm one of those people who feels overwhelmed. And I'll give you some context. And I mean, I feel almost bad saying this out loud. I only went up to 3 days of work right now.
Yeah.
Okay, then I have 1 day which I spend fully with my daughter, and I try to give her full focus and attention.
Yeah.
And then I have still 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
So I should have plenty of time in theory. However, I feel often utterly overwhelmed by just things that I have to do. Like now, getting everything ready for my new apartment.
Yeah.
Doing some workshops, facilitating some event tonight, going somewhere on the weekend, planning for a festival that I'm going to. All these like fun things, but still so overwhelming. And then I think like, fuck, I'm trying to watch a series which I really want to continue because it makes me feel good. Ted Lasso.
Oh, I've heard so much about it.
Ted Lasso is the ultimate feel good show. I recommend it even if you don't like football, because I don't like football.
Oh, really? I love football. And all of my friends are crazy about this show because it's about the Premier League and they all love the Premier League.
Yeah. So I put it off watching for a while because it's about football. I was like, what the hell? But it's about positive masculinity often, and it's a really good positive show. Anyhow, I'm trying, since literally a week, I was trying to watch one episode, 1 hour, and I cannot get around to it. But because by the time I think, okay, now I can sit down, I realize, it's already 11, and I should get some sleep because I'm also too tired. And then I put it off, and I'm like, good. I didn't watch any TV for another week. It's actually a good thing, but why the hell do I not have time?
It's beyond me to think about this. And the one thing that I would really recommend is for you to do an inventory of where your time goes. And I will tell you, because what I hear is more like worrying about doing stuff rather than doing stuff, right? Because
that is a good
my
point.
wife also is going through this, right? So she tells me that, okay, we don't have time. You need to go to the ER. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to get me the birth plan. You need to watch these videos with me. You need to do this. And I'm a man of systems. I'm like, every night before sleeping, 11, let's watch the video together. After that, you go into the bed, I'll turn on the meditation, and then you listen to the meditation, but then we do the exercise, and you go to bed. Systemic, right? I'm like, every day, then my mind knows. But she cannot handle that. She's like, no, I'm too tired at this time. I'm do this at this time. And then suddenly in the middle of nowhere at 3 p.m., she goes like, we're not doing anything. Where are the videos? And I'm like, I planned the system for you, but you don't want to follow the system. So in that sense, what I hear is that sometimes people confuse the perception of work with work, right?
That is a really good point.
And I think that's what I hear, because remember that this one word, because I think you also worked agile, right, in your company. Yeah. So agile framework has this very nice concept of Scrum, in which you have to plan everything in and everything. And I really loved it. I became a certified Scrum Master because it really resonates with me how the Scrum works. And I try to bring my life into Scrum. And the biggest thing there is start finishing and stop starting, right? Or like stop starting and start finishing. The idea,
stop starting,
and the idea behind it is that instead of taking so many things that overwhelm you, just focus on those 3 things that the book said, and then suddenly you're going to have a monumental amount of time. I also watch TV every day, 1 hour. Again, 1 hour. That's it. But yesterday I watched a 3-hour-long movie because my wife doesn't like my system. She's like, 1 hour is stupid. This is one episode. And but 1 episode a day is a lot, so that I can also play my games. But then yesterday I wasn't allowed to play my games, so that I had 2.5 hours free. So she was like, let's watch a movie. I was like, okay, let's watch a movie. And in that way, I try to ration my time around that. I have a lot of time. This concept of 4,000 weeks, if you think about 4,000 weeks, that's a lot of time.
It is, but then also it isn't. I guess it's a lot more than if you weren't existing at all, but it's also not, it's a lot less than infinite weeks.
Yeah. The concept of infinite, and that's exactly why I don't like the concept of working, like in the sense that how the inbox and everything. Because that's infinite. It never stops. People go like zero inboxing. And I'm like, but that's a very failed technique because you will never have a zero inbox because there will always be work. They're paying you to work. Suddenly they won't finish. Even in a Scrum methodology where you have a time box, you still have a backlog that is full of shit and they want you to do that in the next iteration. So there will always be work. They're paying you to do that. They're not paying you to sit there. So I always want to, this infinite mindset I want to always get out of people, because they always tell me there's a lot of things I can do. There's always, yes, there will always be work till you die.
Exactly, and the quicker you get at finishing your tasks, the more tasks arrive. It's like that. It's like that conveyor belt where, like Charlie Chaplin, you're doing faster and faster, and it keeps coming faster and faster, and you fall over stressed out. But I want to get back to your point before, because that was a really important one. Like getting stressed by the thought of a lot of things to do versus getting stressed by doing a lot of things. And I think you're really touching on something important that at least it resonates with me. I think I'm in too much in my head, but I do feel stressed because, oh my God, I will have to do so many things. I'm not actually stressed by doing them all, because if I do 3-4 things in a day, I'm not going to be stressed by that. I'm only stressed by the mental backlog, I suppose.
Exactly.
Okay, so now I do have a mental backlog.
Yeah.
And let's say I managed to pick up the top 3 things off of that backlog and say, these are my active things in my Kanban, if you want to look at it like this agile way. But then how do I forget about the backlog? Like, don't you have that still on your mind?
Yeah, you do. You do. That's the thing here. What I really recommend to people, and something I found myself, to be honest, because I never thought I'd be this kind of a person. Writing stuff down is magic.
In what way?
Anything. Because what you're doing is basically all that mental backlog, you're throwing on a paper. So your mind goes like, well, I'm not going to forget it, so I don't need to think about it anymore. Do you get it? If you write it down, then it's there.
And you think you feel like you don't have to keep it in your mind anymore? Are you forgetting about it?
Yeah, you're rationing and you're compartmentalizing. That's what I would like to say, rather than forgetting about it. So it's like, I want to do gardening. I want to do gardening for a while, right? But I'm like, you know what? It's not time. I want to focus on fasting. So my mind goes like, okay, I wrote down gardening as one of my aspirations in my planner, and then it's there. And when my time comes, I will look at it. And when I look at it, I will plan it in however I want to plan it in. And now I don't think about it. Well, that's also the stoic in me, right? I like to think about what I want to control, and I don't care about what I can't control. So my mind is very easy letting things go. But that could be a difference in personality. But what I'm talking about in writing stuff down, in this day and age of information overload, we forget that our mind tries to hold on to a lot of things.
Right.
And there is no mental space for us.
Right.
So when you write it down, you throw your thoughts on paper, then your mind frees up. Your mind is like, it's basically like a computer, right? Instead of having all of that stuff in your mind as a thing, you have an external hard drive where you put everything in, and suddenly your computer is running faster now because all that extra information is in an external hard drive. And when you need it, you can just plug it in and bring it back. And that's what your journal is for. It's for you to bring it back once you need it. And that's what I really, really recommend, to write stuff down. It really, really helps.
Okay, right. I have to say I've heard that before, and I have used it a lot with journaling of like thoughts that were on my mind, to start to put it on paper and then kind of forget about it, or at least let it go. Yeah, that works fine. And often you don't, it's not on your mind, but you don't even have to pick up the paper because it's still kind of stored. Yeah, that does work. Yeah, I'm trying to get this concrete, because I feel like we're talking a lot of nice things, and then I'll walk out and I'll still be doing the same.
But then what you need to
thing.
do is write it down and plan it.
Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, I've written those things that I want to do, or even the projects that I'm busy with, down several times, and I put them into quadrants and into
Are you talking about the
sections of my life.
Yeah.
No, screw the Eisenhower metric. I mean, this whole urgent, important thing is, you just might as well forget about everything that's not urgent.
Yeah.
But what did I wanted to do some, well, not quadrants, but life compass or something it's called, where you put in what do you need for relationships, what do you need for hobbies, what do you need for career, what are the projects or activities that you're doing for each aspect of your life. So I've done that. Still, there's a lot of things. And concretely, I have a lot of social activities, commitments that I want to do, a lot of relationships that I want to build up and maintain. I don't know if Do you have that too, by the way?
I think I do. I think that I as well have a
Or do you?
problem with, because
Yeah.
with so many things that you're planning, you forget that, okay, how do I make time for the real stuff, which is relationships? At the end of the day, I'm a sincere believer you are a human, and that element of humanity will always stay. And that's why I really love the way you're living, a location with a common area and a common kitchen. If I would be here, I'd be cooking every week. I'm not even joking. Every week I'd be cooking on the downstairs kitchen and having a dinner with all my compartments, because I'd be like, you know what? This is gonna be fun. Let me get to know you. And that's important to me. So I get that you need to really
Okay.
flesh out time for this. And here I would recommend a small thing before I let you again tell me is, why don't you think of chunking stuff? Like, I love walking. I need to do 15,000 steps a day, right? And I also need to learn. So what I do is I listen to my podcast when I'm walking. So I do two things at once. Or I asked you and we grab some tea and then we walk in the streets of Christchurch. If you remember, in the very cold winter of January, we were doing it. We were walking and connecting. I was getting my
Yeah.
steps. I was talking to a very nice friend, and then it was a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah. It almost feels like it's almost like similar to delegating. It's like you're getting other people to come and connect a thing that you want to be doing at the same.
It's accountability, I would rather say, that you are doing it. It's like also joining a gym with your friends.
Right.
Because you want to do it, but you also want to do it with the person you
Right.
like, so it's a win-win then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a very good little task that you added to my list. I want to be cooking down here, but then I thought or eat together with my community members, because so where I'm living is it's a living community with a bunch of people and a lot of nice people as well, and I really value community. Yet I'm spending a lot of time with other communities outside of where I'm living, like an improv community and other parts in other cities even. So that's taking a lot of energy as well, I guess. So if I think about having a dinner here every week, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for. But you're right. I would like to have time, and maybe instead of worrying about, oh my God, I want to invite more people over, or I want to have more social interactions, and I want to cook here. No, I should just turn that around and maybe just start cooking down here, and then I can invite people either from this community or from my
community. Also, the most important thing is we are not in this together. We're not in this alone. And that's what we forget. Like when I hear you telling me these things, I feel like, okay, Phil feels like he's doing everything alone. But why
true.
do you feel like you're doing it alone?
That's a good point. I thought about this morning, actually, that I feel like I have to do a lot of things by myself, like getting the place set up, painting the walls, whatever, where I could exactly combine painting the walls with a social activity. If only I would dare to. That's why it kind of resonates with delegation. If I would only dare to ask others to come here and help.
Like asking.
Maybe I have to get over that a little bit. That kind of valuing myself or
devaluing yourself.
Well, I think I should value myself enough to dare to ask.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Because I feel the same, to be honest. Being a Pakistani, we are used to cheap labor so much that we do not think of asking friends for doing stuff, because it's not common in us. And I have this issue of myself of asking for help that I don't want to. But then, compared to you, I have the privilege of working in more of a professional setting, right? And you're working more in a physical space. So I can afford those luxuries of life that I'm like, you know what? I'll just hire for help. I'll hire a contractor. I'll hire those things. And my problem is solved.
But your need for community
that doesn't
is
get
not
solved because I have this issue of asking for help. So I need to combine them somehow, and it is difficult. So this week, I think I asked a friend for help, and it was very difficult for me. But my wife was like, my wife doesn't like me hiring help, right? Right now we want to lift her bed up because it's easier for the post-pregnancy thing. And also drill a net on the cot, so the baby has this beautiful net coming down.
Right.
And I said, well, I can hire this guy that I know, and then he can do everything. And she's like, it's for your own baby. Can you not do it for your own baby? And I'm like, it's not really emotional. It's more like rational, because that guy knows how to operate a drill. I would not know how to operate a drill. And then she was like, no, ask a friend. Then I asked a friend of mine who has a drill, who's done all of this before. So I said, why don't you come over? I'll do it. You coach me. And he's like, of course, I'll come over and I'll help you out and everything. And it was difficult to ask him because that's not where my first mind goes. My first mind goes to just get the help because we're so used to it in Pakistan. And yeah, here it's 10 times more expensive maybe, but I'm so used to it that I ration it out. I rationalize it that this is important to me. We hire a maid, we're like, this is important to you. It's costing you a lot of, yeah, but I would never ask my mother-in-law to come and help me clean. I would never ask my brother or sister to come and help me clean because we never did that in Pakistan. So it would be very difficult. So that is one aspect of the difficulty that I face. The second aspect that I want to talk about with this community cooking thing is very simply, every week someone else can cook. And that's a recommendation you can give. And that way, you only have to do it once in 2 months.
Yes, but that again, I like the idea better of me just cooking down here rather than having to organize and facilitate that everybody cooks. Like, of course, this can happen in the end, but it's almost nicer to just say, instead of cooking, I have my own kitchen in my apartment and I have a kitchen in the community space. I could say, well, instead of cooking upstairs, when I'm, let's say, always cooking on Mondays anyway, I'll just come down here and do it here. And then others can join or they cannot join. It's actually, that's almost easier for me than having to adhere to a schedule and so on.
That could be true. But then how do you manage? Because how much would you cook if you don't know how many people are joining?
What's the matter if I cook too much? Then I have some leftovers in the freezer, right? I mean, I don't know if I will do that, but it kind of sounds good, nice to me if I would allocate, let's say, the Monday evening. And then indeed, I can still invite, if somebody says, hey, let's hang out, I can say, well, the Monday evening, I am actually free, I'm cooking, you can come over to have dinner with me. So I like your idea.
Yeah, it helps. This I read somewhere, that scheduling your time for social activities is also a thing that we just don't like to do because we're so like, oh, why would you schedule, like you were telling me, why would you schedule your gaming time, right, for example? And I don't have a strict time slot for my gaming, but I have a gap. But a lot of people do this. I read it in this book from Digital Minimalism, right? It was all about undigitizing your life. And then suddenly you have a lot of time on your hands because if you're not on social media scrolling all the time, you'll have a lot of time on your hands. And I know this firsthand because I don't have social media on my phone. And that's one of the reasons I have so much time on my hands.
So how long ago did you kick off social media?
Officially last month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So did you, like in your phone report last month or 2 months ago, you still had a lot of hours on social media?
My social media, especially my WhatsApp, is like, I think last week was, not last week, like a few weeks before, it was 15 hours in a week. That's a lot for WhatsApp.
Yeah, that's true. That's 15 hours you could be gaming.
Yeah,
right?
I could be doing that. And in gaming, I can ask my friends to come on call and then we do, again, 2 things at once, right? Gaming and socializing at the same time, if that is possible. That can work. But WhatsApp is my pet peeve, so I've also locked WhatsApp now. And it's very difficult, to be honest, because WhatsApp is such an important tool for communicating. Like, I message you right now, so I have to block it, like open my routine and then disable it so that I can have access to WhatsApp and then message you. And then...
Yeah, but then it becomes just very inconvenient.
Yeah, it becomes inconvenient.
On the other hand, maybe convenience is not helping.
That is the thing. Convenience is not helping.
Let's explore that for a minute.
Yeah, it is. Convenience is not helping. It's not supposed to be this easy to order something at the tap of a finger. So because of that, you will not cook at home. It's not that easy. It shouldn't be this easy to order something online that your credit card is already attached. That all you need to do is like, I like this, click, automatic buy. No, it shouldn't be this easy because impulse purchases and humans are very impulsive. So there needs to be an obstacle in place. And that's what basically it's all about, that we need to have these obstacles in place. For example, how difficult it would be for me to message you as an SMS instead of messaging you on WhatsApp? Not that difficult.
No.
But I don't feel like it. I'm like, it's just easier to click the WhatsApp and then...
Yeah. And okay, buying things is, of course, for your finances an issue, but in terms of time management again, what does convenience mean for time management? Because often we think, if I can do something quicker, if I can, have the text autocomplete and the email is gone quicker, or have an AI thing write the email for me, then I will be more efficient. Hence, I will have more time. But that reminds me just of, my mom getting a microwave and then thinking she will have everything cooked in 5 minutes, and hence she will have a lot more time for everything else. But it seems like no housewife ever had a lot more time after getting a
dishwasher, for example. You would think it's amazing, but it takes me 15 minutes or 10 minutes to set up the dishwasher, put everything in.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't take you a lot of time, like even if cooking this was, the 90s where microwaves came out. Like, even if we're cooking rice now, it takes you whatever 5 minutes instead of 15 minutes. That's literally 10 minutes saved. But this efficiency, this convenience is not helping your life overall, right? It's not making your time management better.
People try to share it in a very bad way. They go like, you save 10 minutes, 10 minutes per day. Multiply that by 365, you suddenly save 3,650 minutes. And you're like, yeah, but no, at that time when I'm in the kitchen, by the time the food gets cooked, those 10 minutes don't really add any value. I can't really go and do focus work in that 10 minutes. I can't go for a run or something. I have to be in the kitchen anyways. So that 10 minutes don't really add any value. And that's where people make a mistake. They take the numbers and they just go like, you know what, it's easy. The numbers are telling me. So a lot of people do the same for our finances, right? Oh, if you would not have a Starbucks every day, 375, then you would have you'd be a millionaire by the time you're 70. And but those 375 I'll never put an index fund. I never would. I would use it somewhere else. So unless I have a plan in place that helps me, and that's what I mean by convenience. My argument against convenience is you need plans. If, for example, I want to cook and now again I want to walk. So what I do is I almost always go get groceries every day. Because I want to walk to the... so I walk to the grocer, I have a list, I go buy the stuff fresh, come back and cook. I ration that time out. It might be inconvenient, but it helps me reach my other goal, which is walking. Because I'm going to walk 15,000. Right. That means I have to walk 2.5 hours every day, either doing something or not doing anything, just walking. So I go like, you know what?
Sure, yeah.
That helps.
And probably if you would just skip the walking and cooking altogether, we can kind of round off, I think, the topic. But if you would just skip that altogether and say, I'm not going to cook today and I'm not going to walk because I don't have time for this, you would probably not end up having a lot of time for other things.
Maybe game more. I maybe watch TV more, because in the end, how many things can you do?
Yeah.
Because my goal in life is ease, right? And all I'm doing is building a life of ease. And that means convenience to an extent. So I tried to order out all the time in the last few months, and my finances took a very big hit. But I was like, you know what? It's worth it, because we're eating good food every day. And I've been cooked. But I actually felt miserable that month. And now this month, I've been cooking almost every day or every other day, and I feel happier. Not just because of the nutritionist food that I'm eating compared to fast food. Mm-hmm. Also the fact that the act of cooking really gave me pleasure that I did not realize I wanted. Because I was like, I don't have time. I'm teaching twice a week in Harlem. It's a 4-hour commute. I come back and I have to do my 40 hours here as well. And how will I manage all of that stuff? And then I'm also newsletters and everything. I'm doing so many things. Right. Why should I spend 2 hours a day cooking? But then I realized it was 2 hours a day worth the reset that I really needed. But I never valued them till I took them out for a month. Because last month I did not order and I did not cook at home once. Every other day we were eating out. Oh my God. Financially, it was a mess.
Okay, that's clear.
And also emotionally.
Time management wise as well.
Yeah, I didn't really achieve anything, did I? Did I do anything extra last month that I am not able to do today? No, it's the same. I almost did everything that I'm doing. I still read a book a month that I do now. I still listen to my podcast. I don't have a big backlog of podcasts. I still walked 15,000 steps. I still did everything. On top of that, I have more time now because I'm skipping as well. Before that, I didn't even skip last month. So I have time. So where did it go? That's why this illusion of time really bothers me, because we have a lot of time. We just don't realize it. It's just we have to prioritize so that we do more and think of doing more or less.
Well, I guess, yeah, but I'll say it again a little bit differently. We have to want to do less in order to be able to get more done. Like, we have to want to do less at the same time, right? So yes, you can maybe chunk a few things, but at the same time, you're not trying to get your taxes and your phone calls and your emails and your everything done while you also need to cook. No, you say, I'm just going to cook.
Focus attention. It's important. And a very good analogy would be, imagine trying to move 5 boxes to a 100-meter line. And imagine trying to move one box to 20 meters and then the other box to 40 meters and another box to 60 meters, and then you work in a straight line. You'll get that done faster than trying to move them 100. Even if you want to move them to 20, that's still going to be longer than you trying to do all of them in a go until 100, because it's easier. You have focused attention. So do one thing at a time, one in, one out, one in, one out, and you'd be more productive in the longer run rather than having to do 5 things at once. And I know firsthand how you feel, because I did the same thing. It's very bothering.
That's what I have to internalize. Do one thing at a time, but also, like you said, start finishing instead of starting a lot of new things. to do one thing at a time. Don't expect that you can save all these like $5, 5 minutes of time into a big bucket, because you won't. You'll just use it up in a different way.
Because time resets, right? Every 24 hours it resets. So it's not like money in that sense. You save 5 and the next day you have 10. All right, maybe some people with Starbucks can do that. But in time, you can't. If you save 5 minutes today, tomorrow you don't have 10 minutes. You still have 5 minutes because it's gone.
Yeah.
It's up to you what you want to do, right?
Nice.
All right, I think we are coming really close to the conversation. It flew by, to be honest. It was
very interesting.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, and I thought I'd take away some good points that I will try to internalize. So thanks.
Very nice
for sharing.
It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it with you. I really enjoyed talking, and I hope you guys as well enjoyed talking. This was a lot of fun, and looking forward to hearing your point of views as well. We have the newsletter dropping on Sundays. That is going to be more of a deeper dive into this conversation and some external links. So do subscribe to the newsletter to have more information. Until then, I've been your host, Ahad. We had
Phil. Thanks for having me.
And thank you so much. Bye-bye.